Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Essential Album video. We're now on week 41, and this week we're taking a look at Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. First released May 26, 1967. Some notable tracks on this album include With a Little Help from My Friends, When I'm 64, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and A Day in the Life. I featured, I believe, on the not last year's series because those are all new albums, but in the 2023 Essential Albums series, we featured Abbey Road. I think that one probably is my favorite overall album from them, but this one is really good as well. Probably a close second to that. It's fantastic. And the reason I ended up doing this video or this album for this week was, let me see, on Saturday, I was actually at a Paul McCartney concert, and it was incredible. A lot of great Beatles songs referenced, played. Paul McCartney's solo stuff as well as stuff with Wings. It was a fantastic concert and kind of got me in the mood to just listening to some Beatles stuff. I haven't listened to any Beatles stuff really super recently, but yeah, definitely was really into them in the late 90s, I want to say early 2000s, because they put out the Yellow Submarine like VHS and DVD. So I picked that up, really liked it, and then it picked up a bunch of Beatles CDs over, like the years. A bunch of Beatles vinyl that I think I took from my parents as well as purchased on my own. I actually have this one on vinyl. I don't remember if I got this one from my parents or if I ended up just picking it up on its own. But it gets a little bit beat up. But yeah, there is the vinyl there. One of the most iconic album covers of all time. You got the back cover there. Obviously, this particular pressing is really beat up, really played a lot. And then you have the gatefold there with all of the members of the band, or the Beatles, or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, whatever you want to call them, because it is kind of a very early concept album to where they are taking on this fictional band playing as the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band on the album. In the Yellow Submarine movie, those characters pop up again. I think like they have to disguise themselves. The Beatles have to disguise themselves as those band members in that film. It's a fantastic animated film if you haven't seen it. But I have some notes here. We're going to get through those notes, and then we will get to our track list and all that. All right, so we have here the notes. Again, released May 26, 1967. This is their 8th studio album. I believe it is the follow-up to, I think it was Revolver, because I think it was Rubber Soul, Revolver, and then this. And many music historians, whatever you want to call them, consider this to be a very early attempt at a concept album. Like the concept is that they're playing as these this fictional band basically, and they're doing a lot more experimentation with like production and like using like not necessarily standard instruments, so to speak. I think like the sitar shows up. I think it's a George Harrison thing. But yeah, just a very kind of like forward-thinking album as far as like production and the whole like psychedelic '60s thing and all that. So prior to this album, the Beatles had, I think, their final major tour was in 1966. They were kind of getting burned out on touring. I think there was like basically like John Lennon had a quote. I think it was something like you could put 4 wax sculptures on stage and have the same effect than us touring. I think George Harrison at one point wanted to leave the band after like their final tour and was kind of reassured that they weren't going to be touring anymore, and that kind of kept him in the band. I mean, the band didn't last much longer than this. I think by like 1970 they did Let It Be, Abbey Road, Let It Be, and then that was kind of it. And then they've obviously released like stuff like the Beatles anthology and things like that used like unreleased songs and what have you. But by the end of the '60s, they were pretty much kind of done. Apparently, the concept for the album came from Paul McCartney, and he was on a flight back to I think England, where he came up with the concept of a fictional band. So that was that. And then they kind of fleshed that out like during the writing and recording process and all that. There's just many genres and kind of styles on this album. It's obviously a rock album, kind of at its core, but you have like psychedelic music in there. You have Indian inspired music with the sitar. I forget what track it is. Let me see if I can actually pull the track list up on this. Let me see. Those are all the lyrics. Side one, I think it's Within Without You or something like that. But we'll get to that when we get to the track list. But there's like circus style music with On the Benefit for Mr. Kite that's using very much like traditional kind of just like what you would consider to be like circus or carnival music. Um, yeah, so just a lot of different genres, a lot of different like instruments being used on this album. It ended up winning 4 Grammys. So it picked up Album of the Year, not surprising there. So the 1968 Grammys following year, Album of the Year, and apparently it was the first rock album to get Album of the Year at the Grammys. So that's a pretty huge accomplishment there. Won Best Pop Vocal, Best Engineered Album, non-classical, and it won for Best Cover. No surprise, right? The cover is absolutely iconic. I don't know if Best Cover is even still an award because I haven't. I think that award is gone because I haven't heard of that award being given out for quite some time. I have to do some research on that, but I don't think it was. I don't think that's a thing anymore. Um, Apparently, prior to this album, when they were like having their not wanting to tour anymore and all that, they got apparently like a letter or something saying don't go to Japan, like you're in danger. And I think they did play those Japan dates, but they were using like armored vehicles to transport the band members. They were taking these threats, whatever they were, very seriously. Um, so there was that. There was, I think this is around the same time when John Lennon had the quote of, that the Beatles are bigger than Jesus, and that kind of turned off a lot of fans in like very like religious areas. So ticket sales were actually down on that last tour. Um, like I think like he apologized for that comment, but it kind of eased tensions a little bit. But by that time, like attendance was down. I don't really know how much down it was, but that turned off, like I said, turned off audiences in like the Bible Belt and what have you. Um, then they like had those Japan tours, and then after that, it was just kind of like disastrous touring. I don't remember where I first saw that. It may have even been in the Beatles Rock Band game because I think you play through their career from like the Cavern Club. I think is like the first level, and then it ends with like I think like Abbey Road. But yeah, that game is actually a masterpiece of a game because it has these. You might start off the level in a studio, and as you progress through the song, the studio melts away into like a psychedelic, like dreamscape kind of thing. Um, but I think I vaguely remember when the game switches from I think stuff off a revolver into Sergeant Pepper's that there was a little video clip saying that they were done touring. Yeah, and then them being done touring, they didn't have a deadline of when they needed the album by. Really, they were kind of just free to experiment with a lot of different instruments, a lot of different sounds, a lot of different drugs, probably too, so to speak, because it's very psychedelic. Um, but yeah, they stopped touring, and then kind of the rest is history with this album. We're now going to jump into our reviews and our track list. I just got to pull those up here. Pull up the reviews really quick. Let me just jump over here. And basically, kind of universal acclaim across the board for this album. Ratings on this, I don't know if there's the originals or just current review, just current. But looks like AllMusic has it a 5 out of 5. Daily Telegraph has it at a 5 out of 5. Encyclopedia of Popular Music has it at a 5 out of 5 as well. Music Hound Rock has it at a 5 out of 5. An 89 out of 100 from Paste. Pitchfork has it at a 10 out of 10. Q has it at a 4 out of 5. Rolling Stone Album Guide, also 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5 from Sputnik Music, and an A from The Village Voice. So pretty much universal acclaim. Paste being the only one that's kind of low at 89. But yeah, just considered one of the greatest albums of all time, and it's just an absolute joy to listen to this album. It's not super long. I want to say it's like 44 minutes or something like that. You actually just jump up here to the time. 39 minutes, actually. So I think I listened to a version that was said it was 44, but it may have been because it included a little music video, like documentary kind of thing, and that was on Apple Music. But yeah, basically 40 minutes in length. We have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks on it. We're going to start up with track 1 here. Track 1 is this Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, so the title track of the song. Very quick, it introduces the band. Next up, one of their most iconic songs is With a Little Help from My Friends. That's actually one where Ringo takes the lead on that one, or the lead vocals. Track 3, one of their most trippy and psychedelic songs. And I remember it being in the Yellow Submarine movie and being incredibly trippy, is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. After that, we move into track 4, which is Getting Better. And then track 5 is Fixing a Hole. Track 6, one of the more emotional songs on the album is She's Leaving Home. And after that, the first side, we're finishing up side 1, we have track 7, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, a very weird song about like circuses and Henry the Horse. I think it's Henry the Horse dancing a waltz. It's like really kind of weird song. And at the concert that I went to, Paul McCartney was recounting a story where they were trying to come up with the lyrics for this song, and he said that in John Lennon's house there was a circus poster of some kind, and they kind of took a lot of the inspiration from that poster, according to Paul McCartney at that show. Into track 2, so track 8, we have Within You, Without You. That's a George Harrison track, and that's the one that uses the sitar, because I think he was getting very into like Indian music and culture at the time. So that is reflected on his song on this album. After that, as track 8, that was track 9. We have, or track 9 is When I'm 64. It's just a classic one from them. Track 10 is Lovely Rita. Track 11 is Good Morning, Good Morning. Track 12 is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the reprise, which is just them kind of wrapping up. It's like, we're Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. We really don't, we're sorry, but we have to go. So it's kind of them wrapping up the album. And then it closes out with A Day in the Life, another one of their absolute iconic tracks there. So again, 13 tracks, like 40 minutes roughly in length, kind of that perfect length of an album like I've discussed on the channel before. But yeah, this is just an absolutely iconic album, one of the greatest albums of all time. The fact that they kind of were able to stop touring and just kind of do their thing for, I think they took a few months off when they stopped touring, and then they went right into this and just kind of threw everything they had at it. And like I said, there's like a lot of different styles and genres on the album, but it's absolutely iconic. And that is going to do it for this this video. We'll be back in a week from now with a whole new album. No idea what that's going to be just yet, but we'll be back in a week with that. So thanks again for watching. Take care. Have a good one. See you next time. Thanks.